Tak dobré ráno, vítáme vás na dnešní dopolední sekci věnované správě inženýrských sítí. A doufám, že se vám včera líbil včerejší společenský večer, že jste si ho užili a dnes tedy se zase trošku vrátíme zpět do té odborné části a budeme pokračovat i dalšími přednáškami. Já bych zde rád přivítal našeho partnera, pana Thiaga Carvalha ze společnosti Schneider Electric, který by dnešní dopolední blok otevřel svojí přednáškou s takovým zdatným názvem Go Digital. Takže prosím, Thiago, it's your turn.
Can you guys hear me? Dobré ráno. That's my best Czech, and the only Czech you'll hear me speaking all day, but this is better than my last 2 years. Thank you all for being here. And thank you for ARCDATA for having me here, third time in a row. We'll go through, so what I thought about doing today is giving you guys an update on where ArcFM is, talk about which direction we're going. I guess all of you guys have heard of the utility network. Yes? Has anybody not heard of what the utility network is? So we'll talk about the direction of the new generation of ArcFM products as well, and I think that'll be all the time that I have. But and I'm open for questions. So my time is best used if you get something out of it. So please stop me, ask questions as you have them. Okay. All right. So for those who don't know Schneider and ArcFM, I have a very quick summary of our long-standing partnership with Esri. Way before most of us were born in 1987, Miner, a company out of Colorado, formed a partnership with Esri to provide tools on top of the ArcInfo platform. The guy who ran Miner, which Miner became Telvent, and Telvent was acquired by Schneider. That's how the GIS group of Schneider Electric came to be Schneider. We were Miner back in the days. For 32 years now, the philosophy of this partnership hasn't changed a bit. Schneider, Miner, Telvent, and now Schneider still 100% develops products, software solutions on top of the Esri platform. There's three special dates along this partnership that I can highlight. Obviously, the first one when we established the partnership, where our set of solutions were called the Miner Power Tools, and the Esri platform at the time was ArcInfo. In 2000, when ArcGIS was introduced, ArcFM was also born. So the ArcFM that most of you know has been around since the year 2000, and as of last year, when the utility network was finally released, we have also transformed and developed a new generation of ArcFM called ArcFM 11 series. We're actually the first partner of Esri to have a solution developed and released on the utility network platform or extension. So fundamentally, we have not changed the way we do business. Every one of these dates, Esri has done a little more with their platform, with the enhancement of their platform, which allowed us to bridge other gaps of requirements for our customers. So not only Esri's platform have gotten a lot better, the ArcFM solution set has also improved a big deal. And hopefully on the rest of my presentation you will see what the 11 series is all about and some specifics about our products. So before we get down into specifics, into product names, I wanted to have these four, I call them movements, highlighted for you. This is something that you probably get internally, right? This is something that every utility out there is looking into. Digitization, mobility, Everywhere we go, every country that I go, every utility that I talk to, whether they're electric, gas, telecom, water, they all have this in the back of their minds. They know that decentralization is a big thing, mobility, and obviously the interoperability between applications. Everybody is requiring, mandating actually the vendors to become more collaborative. So with those topics in mind, we have taken a step back with the utility network introduction, and instead of just enhance our solutions, we have taken this step back and looked at how our customers do business and how we can completely shape our products or reshape our products to cater to you guys. With the utility network, the Esri has standardized the data model, as you probably know, and they also have allowed us to store data in a much deeper level. You're all familiar with the term digital twin and high fidelity? Is this something new to anybody? So high fidelity is actually the level of detail you can store now your data model into the product, into the platform, right? You can, instead of just having a transformer box connected to a wire on your system, this is not actually how it's done in the field. There's a lot of things that go inside of those boxes. You can now, the utility network allows you to map exactly what's out there in the field, which is fantastic, especially when we're going towards control systems like ADMS that are really advanced and really need a very deep quality of data. One thing that we're not we in Schneider, but utility network doesn't really focus on is how the data gets into the system. Right? It's a great platform. You can store data on the finest level of detail, but from what we see going around and talking to utilities is that the process to actually entering the data into the system is still broken, or the way we say, there's still opportunity for improvements. Right? So with that, we have reshaped the ArcFM solution set to fit into a system of designs. So every utility, regardless of which service you provide to your customers, you have a design process. When you have to extend your network or do any work in your network, you have to design, you have to actually physically build, and then you have to compare what's been designed to what's built before you either energize or you put actually into production. This process is a standard process that most of the time includes a lot of paper, it includes some duplication of work. I've seen tons of redrawing. Designers draw something, it gets built, and then it gets lost somewhere, and then the GIS editor has to actually redraw what the designer did into the GIS system. This should not be that complicated of a process. So what the 11 series of the ArcFM applications is doing is we're providing applications on all these blocks that support this whole process. If you can design directly into the system with a very specific fit for purpose application, your engineers and your designers will be happy because it's not a desktop, a GIS platform that they have to log into. They can log into a very simple application. Then when that job gets actually physically built and somebody has to go there and compare what's been designed to what's actually physically in the field, we provide a simple tablet-based application for quick red line markups. And if the results from those two applications seamless go back to your GIS editor, where the GIS editor doesn't have to redraw everything, they can manage by exception, then all of a sudden you have a much more efficient process. That's exactly the area that we're focusing on. So with that, we'll introduce here the three main products of the 11 series so far. Designer 11 we've always had a module inside ArcFM, an extension to ArcFM called Designer. As you know, in ArcFM and the ArcMap and ArcGIS desktop platform is a very heavy application where the designers using it have to be experts in GIS. And I don't know if this is the case over here, but the way we see in most of the world, designers are not GIS users. They don't want to log in and navigate through hundreds of toolbars and commands to try to find the 5 or 6 commands that they use the most. We have, because of that, we've been able, with the new generation, to decouple, take out Designer from this desktop heavy application and develop something very simple, lightweight, intuitive for those guys to actually draw their, I say points and lines, but actually being correctly drawn in a network. So bringing out information, inheriting information from the grid as they build their designs. This is a big shift for us. And also what we've been able to do with Designer is, as everybody, and I believe most of you can relate to this, with the introduction of the new platform, the new generation, it's a big opportunity, but it's also a big moment for you guys to actually stop and realize that it's not going to be just a quick, simple upgrade from the version that you have. It is a bigger project than normal, and usually will take a little bit of planning, and it's kind of scary for everybody, right? It's scary for you guys to have to embark into this project just to take advantage of the new platform. There's a lot of opportunities that the new platform brings, but it is going to be a much bigger project than normal. What we've done is with Designer and with mobile and with our web applications, they're being developed with the thought that they have to work for both geometric network and utility network. The reason for that is we want to be able to soften this project for our customers. Instead of our customers that already use Designer, perhaps in a desktop way, but if they're dedicated ArcFM customers, we're saying they can just upgrade the design module, get their engineers trained to use the new design, still bring the designs up to the geometric network and ArcFM 10.6.1 now. Then the mobile crews trained on ArcFM Mobile, which is a also very intuitive tool, simple to use. And then whenever it's time to do the major upgrade behind the scenes, the IT upgrade, where you have to change your data model, do some data migration, at least the change management with all of your users won't be as heavy because the applications themselves won't change. The only people affected then, as far as users go, are the GIS editors, who will have to use ArcGIS Pro instead of ArcMap. Right? But that one is already expected. All of you know that the utility network is on ArcGIS Pro, and the geometric network is supported only on ArcMap. So the GIS users are already familiar that they will have a major change. One last thing that I will say about the system of design is, with all of these applications supporting every step of the process of the design, construction, and as-built process, we allow, or we give the chance for our customers to have this much more efficient, keeping up the data quality, digitizing into your map, into your system of records in a much finer level of detail, and correct from the get-go. It saves time on correcting. It saves time on gathering data in the field after the section is energized, and obviously time is money, right? So it's a happy environment for everybody. The benefits, and I just went through and I mentioned all of these processes here on the wheel: the work management, map correction, data management, the decision that you guys have to make, customer engagement, design, construction, and as-built. This is nothing new. This is something that you guys deal with on a daily basis. We didn't make this up. just put in a nice little wheel for you. Most of these processes today, they're staggered, they're separate, they're not well connected inside of a utility. With the 11 series, we're able to more concisely bring those processes together and more collaborative. So, and the results of that is much faster approvals, the reduction of backlog. I've seen utilities where they build a new section of network, energize it, and the ADMS has no idea what's been energized, what is even in the system for a year. They don't know because that section that's being energized it takes a year for them to go back through their backlog and actually activate or post that and publish that into their master data set on the GIS. So because the data on the ADMS comes from GIS, it takes a whole year for them to see the data inside ADMS and being able to control where they just don't have it. The average time is not a year though, the average time is still about a month. So across the globe what we see is it takes a month for a utility to actually know and being able to control the whole extension of their network. So actually I'm gonna come back here. The next slide that I have is a very quick video on Designer 11. You will notice right off the bat that it does not look anything like ArcMap or ArcGIS Pro for that matter. Some quick commands on top, and you don't have to have a whole lot of training to know that some of those buttons will mean placing a pole, placing a service drop, placing a transformer. Then what the user will do is tell the system with a few points of interest where where their service drops will be in that extension of the network, where transformers will be, and what is this section of line that they want. And they will set a parameter for what type of job that they're doing, and then Designer 11 would actually create the first sketch for the designer. The designer will have to just then manage by exception. So all of that will happen very fast. That's why I'm saying ahead of time. So see the user just drawing a line and saying these are going to be where my transformers will go, my meters will go. I want to set where my transformers are going. Now, because I know this is an overhead project, the system will build out the first iteration. Now we know this is not the complete design. The designer will probably have to go back and see, okay, these poles are too close to each other. I can't, there's a design of a pole in the middle of the street. So they will have to manage by exception. The great thing about this is as it designs, it keeps up the bill of materials. It keeps up use of the compatible units from the asset management system, and a quick cost estimate as well. This is the efficiency that we're promoting with our designers, right? It's just as simple as use a CAD sheet and draw your points and lines. However, all of these features over here are inheriting electric characteristics from the existing primary here on the end. So if you select a component and select any of these wires, any of the transformers, you actually see the proposed load, the size of the transformer. This whole software here uses the equipment catalog from the Schneider Electric ADMS. So it brings in information that electric specific information for these features that GIS doesn't even keep, right? Things like impedance that I, to be honest, don't even know what it is, but I know it's important for the electric world. That information is all in the equipment catalog. I've never seen impedance being stored inside the GIS, but it's very important for electric calculations and for planning and design purposes. So we bring all of that information here, and if you start exploring and selecting all of these features, you will be able to see all of these electric capabilities. Next thing that I will show you is ArcFM Mobile. I have talked about ArcFM Mobile here before. It is our quick solution for field crews. Here you will see a trace disconnected. I am offline. Disconnected, that still presents to me as the field user all of the electric information that I need to do my job. Reduces the amount of time that I have to spend on the phone with the back office, with the dispatcher, and it reduces the guesswork that I have to do if I didn't have the option to call or if I didn't have this in my hands. So very quick application. It does three main things, but it does three main things really well. The tracing and the network analysis is one of them. The second one is search and visualization. There's a very quick search, a global search for any of the devices in the field. And also the third one is the redlining toolbar up here on the right. This is the tool that we see our customers using for as-built comparisons. After the design is done, sent out to the field for construction, contractor builds it up, the field guy will have to go and take a look and see. I can pretty much say that most of the time what's being designed is not actually exactly how it gets built, right? So there's usually some markups. A lot of times this markup is on a piece of paper with a pen, and a lot of times coffee gets spilled on it, that piece of paper flies out the window, it never makes it back to the GIS editor. With ArcFM Mobile and Redline, the field crew can simply hit on that Redline button, place a couple of red lines to say what actually is different, and when they hit send, this gets immediately sent back to GIS editor in a nice little section or session for the editor to know who submitted, where they are, and they can zoom right in. As a matter of fact, if it's something that they're sure that the red lines are correct, we can commission those red lines without even touching of the GIS editor. They can come in as red lines and actually go into the master data set as real features once they come in. Yeah, sure. This is primarily for offline use. This actually, I took this screenshot yesterday. I was on a plane without any internet. So there is this, I'm gonna get technical here, but this button right here, this offline, this network, the red icon with the line across, when it's all red, and I just learned this yesterday, by the way, when it's all red, it means that there's no network available at all. I can personally set, if I have network available, that icon would be white. If I'm connected, it would be white. And if I hit that button, when I have a network available, I choose to go offline, the icon will be white with a red cross, with a red bar across it. So I couldn't even fake it. There's nothing available there at that time for me. The synchronization part of this is one of the strengths of this application. We have completely redeveloped the way we sync data with the field users. The data is set by a system admin. You can set regions, you can set different layers, a group of layers into a region or into a specific set of data that you want. And me as a user, I will go to my settings and I will see all of the options that I have available when I'm connected, the first time when I'm connected. I will subscribe to the data sets that I want. If I'm only working on the northwest part of town and I want to download that, I'll download it, and now it's available offline. As the GIS editors update those regions in a master data set, that the layers available for the field user get updated, and me as a user, I don't have to go refresh anything. As soon as I open my application, it runs a check behind the scene to see if I'm connected. And if I am connected, it runs a check for software upgrades. So it's seamless software upgrades just like we have in our phones. It can upgrade itself directly, automatically, and also updates on the data sets. If it finds any updates and it downloads the data sets, you just sit with the refreshed data set, and then you as a user get a notification that you can refresh the application, or if you don't want to, you can continue to work. When you close the application and done for the day, the next day you open, the new data set is already installed. So it's as easy as possible for the field user to just have to open the application, use it, and close it every day. Does that answer? Great. The next quick video that I have, an animation that I have, is our Editor 11. So the upgrade from ArcFM as you know it. This is the GIS editor software, or the solution for the GIS editor. You see it's developed on ArcGIS Pro with ribbons instead of toolbars. Are you familiar with Session Manager? Do you guys use Session Manager as part of ArcFM? That's one of the major functionalities, or one of the big functionalities of ArcFM is part of Editor 11. There's a toolbar there, or a ribbon for Designer, which is a user interface for the editors to bring in and manage the designs that come in from the engineers. And the first thing that looks a little different than ArcFM today is the flow direction arrows. With ArcGIS Pro, it gives us the ability to actually be more, to build some animations instead of just set arrows. So with that, I'm going to take a couple of minutes to talk about the evolution of ArcFM, of Editor. Just like we've done for the last 19 years with ArcFM as you know it today, ArcFM is specifically built to provide productivity tools on top of the ArcGIS platform. Utilities are not forced and mandated to use ArcFM if they want to have an Esri-based GIS. In fact, there are utilities that don't use ArcFM. However, what ArcFM does is provide commands for the utilities that do choose to go this way to make their tests easier to be accomplished. Right? Sometimes we save clicks. Most of the time we save clicks, and clicks translates into efficiency. We also save clicks whether it's on the process side, or we save clicks whether it's on keeping the data quality intact. So it saves clicks later on to actually manage the data and make the data correct. The same thing is valid for the utility network. So the utility network took away some of the network management functionality from ArcFM, and now Esri is managing the network itself. However, that gave us the opportunity to look at gaps that ArcFM didn't fill back in the geometric network, and now we're giving them and bridging those gaps for our users and our customers on the new generation. So speeding up repetitive tasks, one of them, and you'll see a few examples, validation, for example. ArcFM has always had some validation and QA/QC rules. We've always obviously left that open for addition and customizations of our customers. Esri now has taken over some of the validation rules. However, the results that Esri give us when we run validation are quite encryptive. It's tough to find out exactly what the error means. What we've been able to do is developed a whole validation assistant that actually translates a GUID into actually what it means, and it even gives suggestions of how to fix the problem. Editing is also faster, and what we've seen from our users and from our developers is that the efficiency can actually be improved by 30 to 70% in some aspects. Validation, it's a time-consuming process that we've seen customers that have identified improvements for up to 50%. So I mentioned earlier about Session Manager. Session Manager is a key component of ArcFM today. It's how we manage all of the existing sessions out there. A lot of global customers use ArcFM specifically for Session Manager. We have, in the last release of Editor 11, we have also developed the Session Manager as part of our new generation. So I won't go into all of the details. I won't have the time. After a while, after this session, feel free to come and talk to me if you want a little bit more details, or if you want to get a more in-depth look into anything that I say, and I'll be happy to schedule that for you. Next point, next highlight here is the data validation, what I was mentioning. I don't have a screenshot of the actual result from the Esri core, the utility network extension, but it is a very encryptive grid. And what we've been able to do is develop the validation assistant, which says what is wrong with this actual session in the network, and underneath here, what would be the correct connectivity. So in this case, they were connecting a one-phase to a three-phase without a transformer or without something in the middle, a junction. And we give actually few options. This is how you fix it, whether either both sides need to be a three-phase or you have to have some sort of junction in the middle. Same thing goes for connecting overhead with underground. If there's not a riser, then we would either say the overhead needs to be overhead on both sides, it needs to be underground on both sides, or it needs to have a riser in the middle. On the next release coming out in early next year, there will be a button right next to the suggestion here that says fix it. So not only we're telling you what's wrong, we're telling you suggestions on how to get it fixed, but we're going on the next step and said, okay, I like this suggestion, so fix it. And ArcFM Editor 11 will automatically make the changes in the data to where to avoid this validation in the future. So just productivity tools, right? Think of enhancements on efficiency. Some other productivity tools, and it may sound simple, but if you're not operating, but if you doing a job with seasonal changes in your load, right? Seasonal changes in circuits, and you want to actually map that in GIS. You would have to go in opening a switch. In the geometric network, you have to go into the data attributes of such switch and open all phases, right? And go to a pick list, say this one from close needs to be open, and then save that switch as open now. With the utility network, and what we've done is created this visual editing tool. So I don't need to be an expert to know that these three switches here on three phases are closed, because I see a continuous line. If I simply click in one of the circles here in the middle, this switch will also become open. So it's one click instead of 5 or 6 of bringing the attributes, going down the pick list, selecting the new one and hitting save. This visual editing tool makes it just as simple as clicking once, and that switch will be operated. Now, we're not talking about ADMS and real-time operations. That's a completely other side. This is on a GIS side still, but those are operations that are actually performed. And same thing works for valves, gas and water side, and we're just making simple for the GIS users to actually edit data. Another quick tool we've built, we've combined 5 different Esri tools into one command for the trim and connect tool. So I won't read the specifics about all of this because you will think that I'm that technical, and I'm not. But I know that to get this trim and connect workflow done with the core Esri products, you would have to run 5 different commands in a workflow. Knowing that this is something that is common for our customers to actually have to perform all of these steps, we've combined all of those into one simple command that keeps it controlled and make it also, again, processes more efficient. We've developed some searches and gave some different options on searching by layer. But those are some just simple highlights of what you would see in Editor 11. I will say that behind the scenes, Esri and Schneider are very tightly connected. We're sending still developers from Colorado, where our R&D group is based, to Redlands, where Esri is based, to help Esri in the utility network development. On the other hand, they send developers quite frequently across from California to Colorado to help us develop solutions on top of it. We just had a senior management team last week with Esri in Atlanta. As a matter of fact, we've been awarded with being the first solution developed on a utility network by Esri. We're having another senior management team in Colorado later this year for also specific this reason, right? To actually stay aligned with directions on both what the utility network is doing and in consequence what ARC-FM 11 is doing to bridge those gaps. One last thing that I will say is because Schneider Electric has a GIS solution and also an ADMS solution, a very key part to our story is to develop an integration that is plug and play between those two applications. Integration today between GIS in general and ADMS is one of the toughest integrations out there. And we feel like it will be a huge advantage to our customers that use both ARC-FM and the Schneider Electric ADMS if we make this process simple. So we have a roadmap of 3 different phases for this product, this integration alone. Today, we already have released the first phase of bilateral communication between GIS, between ARC-FM and ADMS, where after the GIS export gets to ADMS and validation is run, if there are any errors identified by this validation of the import, the user can tag those facilities manually, and electronically that tag will go back into ARC-FM so the GIS editor can correct the errors. So no more taking notes, sending emails. This is an automatic process now via red lines that go from ADMS back into ARC-FM. Phases 2 and 3 of this process is even more streamlined. This will be done via web services. So data from GIS will be exported via web services in a more continuous space with just deltas of the data. And our ultimate goal is to be able to send data from designer into ADMS directly before it even gets approved to go be built, because ADMS has all kinds of calculations, is the best ADMS in the world. ARC-FM has all of the design tools to design new sections. Then why not use the ADMS calculations to actually validate that those designs are correctly done before it even gets sent out to the field? The goal is to eliminate as much errors or as much need for update data after the fact. We want to get all of that beforehand to save you guys and save our customers time. So that's the last bit of update that we're working on the Schneider. I will leave you with the save the date. If you guys want to get away and go to Colorado for some good beer, I know you guys are great in the Pilsner as they do some good IPAs over there in Colorado. I'm enjoying the Pilsners here. I invite you to come over and enjoy some of our IPAs and microbreweries out of Colorado. But also the good and the professional side, we have to work every once in a while. Our user group has the biggest concentration of our users in one spot. So you have a chance to talk to other fellows from different countries and talk to them about how they use the system, how they're planning on moving forward to the utility network. You have a chance to meet with product managers, professional services if you wish, the executive team. If you are interested in going to Colorado or being more involved with ARC-FM in the direction that we're going, this is definitely a great chance. With that, I think this is my time. Again, I really appreciate you showing up and listening to English instead of Czech this morning. I'll be available for a few minutes afterwards. Just come and talk to me if you have any additional questions. Thank you very much.